I wasn't ready for what I found in these real diaries. On January 12, 1943, a Soviet infantryman wrote, "The snow is red again. I can't tell if the shapes in front of me are men or frozen statues. These weren't polished reports, they were raw confessions written while bullets were still flying." The Eastern Front was the most brutal theater of World War II, stretching from June 22, 1941, when Germany launched Operation Barbarossa, to the final push into Berlin in May 1945. Millions of soldiers on both sides kept small notebooks hidden in their coats, scribbling thoughts during shelling, marches, and starvation. These diaries show the war exactly as they lived it. No propaganda, no filters, just fear, cold, and survival. On December 7, 1942, near Stalingrad, German soldier Heinrich Ritter described a moment when his unit was pinned down inside a shattered factory. He wrote that the ceiling shook violently as Soviet artillery targeted their position. Dust rained from above, and the air turned black with smoke so thick he could barely see his own hands. Men shouted for medics, but the medics were already dead. Heinrich said he watched a friend Klaus crawl toward him, only to freeze mid-movement when another shell tore through the wall. The blast blew out the windows, and shards of glass peppered Heinrich's face. He wrote that he didn't feel the pain until several minutes later shock had taken over. The cold did the rest. It was -30 degrees. Blood turned to ice in seconds. Meanwhile, on the Soviet side, a young conscript named Yuri, writing on February 5, 1943, just after the collapse of the German 6th Army, described a night raid on frozen trenches outside Stalingrad. He wrote that he couldn't feel his feet anymore, and every breath burned his lungs like fire. As he advanced through the ruins, he heard a faint voice in German calling for help. Yuri followed the sound and discovered a wounded enemy soldier half buried in snow. The man's hands were blue, shaking violently. Yuri noted how strange it felt, two enemies face to face, too weak to fight. Yuri gave him a sip of melted snow and covered him with his own coat until medics arrived. He wrote, "For a moment, we were just two human beings trying not to die." Another diary from March 18, 1944, written by a Red Army tank driver, described a shocking scene during the Soviet offensive in Ukraine. His tank was hit and caught fire. He bailed out, rolling across mud mixed with fuel and burning debris. As he crawled away, he looked back and saw his commander still inside, refusing to leave because the hatch was jammed. The driver wrote that the commander saluted him one last time before flames engulfed the turret. The driver said he still heard the metal popping and cracking in his dreams. And yet, not all entries were death and chaos. On April 10, 1945, near the outskirts of Berlin, a German soldier scribbled a final message to his wife, "If I do not return, tell our son I wanted a peaceful world for him." The handwriting shakes across the page. That diary was found in his coat after he fell in a firefight the next day. In the end, these diaries reveal something profound. The men on opposite sides were more alike than different, cold, terrified, hungry, and desperately hoping to see home again. They weren't writing history, they were writing to stay sane. What would you have written in your diary if you were there on the Eastern Front? Don't forget to like, share, and hit the subscription button on our channel for more word to history like this.